Well, hello everyone. Um, I think there are lots of people who are enjoying the flexibility of remote work, but there are some who are struggling to set boundaries about what is work and what is personal time and how to not let work creep into every aspect of life. You know, work and home have always overlapped, personal and work have always overlapped, but I think it is amplified during the season when our work spaces are physically in our home spaces. And so if you're someone who struggles with that, struggles with shutting down at the end of the day, turning your brain off from a work mode, I have some suggestions and some tips in terms of boundaries that might be helpful to help you sort of shift your body and your mind out of that autopilot, out of that reaching for the phone and the email again, into a bit more balance. So I use an acronym called START, or actually there's no A, so it's more like STRT, STRT, space, time, ritual, and transition. So boundaries around space are about the physical workspace. If you read blogs about working from home, you'll have heard this: designate a spot in your house that's only for work, which is a great idea. And some people are lucky enough to have an office at home or a second bedroom or enough room in their house that they can really spread out and do that. But others are sharing spaces, working off of kitchen or dining room tables. Their desk is in the living room or in the laundry room. And so maybe we can't close a door at the end of the day, but you can still, in your home, if you can't designate a space that is only for work, you can always designate a space that is never for work. And so try keeping some spots in your home sacred from work. Maybe it's a chair in your living room that you never let yourself check email from, or some other room in your home that's sort of off limits to work. I don't know what that is for you. This isn't one size fits all. Some people like to check their email in bed, and that's part of the fun of working from home. But is there a space in your home that you can kind of restrict from work if you can't designate a space just for work? And in terms of designated spaces, even if the space you're using for work is shared, is there something you can do at the end of the day to indicate that it's no longer a workspace? Can you pack up the computer and put it away? Can you set up a room divider? Can you throw a tarp or a blanket or a sheet over it? So just thinking creatively in terms of boundaries around workspace. In terms of time, how do you set boundaries around times that are not for work? So some of the flexibility of working from home is that maybe those hours are a bit more negotiable, which can be great. But how does it not creep into now you're just working through meals and working through breaks and working through weekends, and oh, it's just right there, I'll just go back and check that one little thing. So what can you do for you to make sure there's time that's not work? Maybe it's more of a schedule for you, that I don't work after this time, or no email after 9:30 or after 6 or whatever it is. Or maybe it's less about the actual time on the clock and more about what you're doing with that time. So I never multitask when we're watching TV as a family, or I never let work show up at the kitchen dinner table, or I always make sure that my exercise space is free from email interruptions. So again, if you can't have designated time for something, can you make sure that there's time that's designated so that thing never happens? Just think about boundaries in terms of time. In terms of ritual, our bodies are really prone to going into an autopilot mode. And so it's really important that we build rhythms and routines into our day. You know, when we work with first responders, such as police or fire or paramedics or emergency services personnel who have these big sort of heavy work days that they're trying to shut down from at the end of the day, we talk about them taking off their uniform and taking off their hat. And so what's the equivalent for you of taking off a uniform at the end of the day, kind of signaling to your body and to your mind, that part of my day is done? Maybe you actually need to change your clothes. Maybe that would be helpful. And with some of us being more casual at home and not sort of changing from business to casual, maybe you need a work pair of sweatpants and a home pair of sweatpants. I don't know. But there can be other rituals too. Maybe it's that there's a special beverage or candy or snack, something around this flavor that cues to you that it's the end of the day. Our senses can be really helpful. So taste or smell. Maybe you light a candle at the end of the day, or sound. Maybe there's music you play, or if you're someone who kind of just gets into work and forgets what time it is, maybe you need to be someone who actually sets an alarm to stop working, or sets an alarm to remind you to get up and move, or go for a lunch, or have your dinner. And so what can you do around your 5 senses to sort of build a ritual into its closing time? Maybe you would just say that at the end of the day, it's closing time, it's the end of the day, or you tap your desk, or you turn your chair, but something subtle or small that sort of cues you into the fact that the workday's over. And the last thing I'll talk talk about is transitions. Because transitions are naturally built into life when we commute to work, some of us are really missing that because we're going from a hard stop on personal, turning towards work, and then going right from work back into personal. So how can you build transitions between those two worlds for yourself? Maybe it's that you walk around the block as a replacement for a commute. Maybe it's that you schedule 15 or 20 minutes at the end of the day to do some personal reading, or to go for a workout, or to just rest and think for a few minutes before you shift gears into another mode. And part of that transition is preparing yourself well at the end of the day to let work go. So I recommend using your favorite sort of task tracking to just sort of finish off the day, check off what you've done, list anything you know you need to deal with the next day, and then leave it alone. Let that fall out of your brain, allow yourself to relax. So get started on your boundaries with your space, your time, your rituals, and transitions, and good luck.